Hello everyone, it is I, the second antagonizer. Here to bring you a video about games. I do a bit of that on my channel, don't do a lot, but I do some game development stuff and some gaming videos in general. And as you notice, my background is quite messy. And if you point it out, I will make an effort to not clean it and actually make it worse. So please do make fun of it. I will certainly just make it worse. So yeah, I want to talk about some modern AAA games today. The disappointments around them. A lot of people have been complaining about modern AAA games. I wanted to get into that a little bit, talk about that. And some alternatives to if you're feeling a bit bored, or if you're feeling disappointed or let down or something like that from some modern AAA games out there. As you know, there's as I know online, I've been looking up some people complain about Starfield. A lot of people really don't like Starfield. They love beating that horse. It's basically a corpse now, and they're still beating it. There's people complaining about Fallout 76 as well. I see that on YouTube. A lot of complaints around Bethesda these days. Modern Bethesda. It's unfortunate because I loved them back in the day. I loved Fallout 3. I loved Oblivion, Skyrim. Loved them. They were great games. People seem to be disappointed with modern Bethesda, and it's sad. And a few other companies as well, people are disappointed with them. A lot of people don't like EA or Activision or some of those companies. A lot of microtransactions, loot boxes, games coming out that aren't finished, buggy, falling apart. It's quite a lot of people are disappointed. Many people spending sometimes thousands of dollars and not getting a lot in return. Gambling their money away on games that they, I guess, originally thought weren't gambling games, but they turned out to be otherwise. So what do we do about it? What do we do about this? What do we do about some of these fall from grace? This fall from grace that the current AAA gaming industry has turned into. Oh, look at that update. I definitely needed that. Thank you, Java. What do we do? It's unfortunate. What I do personally is I've actually gone back to older games. Started playing a lot more older video games. One game that I'm playing at the moment is Dino Crisis. Never played that game in the past, but I like puzzle games and I kind of like survival horror games. This game is not a horrifying game. It is not horrifying. The dinosaurs are not that scary. Basically square dinosaurs chasing you around, but it's fun, It's got that low fidelity graphics, man, but it is fun. Some people, there's a few reasons why some people would shy away from older games, but I think there's three that I can think of, three reasons. One is the fidelity, graphical fidelity. Two is probably the accessibility. If you wanted to play a PlayStation 2 or old Xbox game, it's like, well, you might have to get those old consoles or figure out if they're backwards compatible for your newer console or something like that to play those games, and then you have to actually find a way to purchase them if they haven't been remade or ported or whatever to the newer consoles. So accessibility is a bit of a concern as well. So there's fidelity, there's accessibility, and the last one, which I think is a big one, is the isolation around older games. Not a big community around them. People have left them behind. People have forgotten about them. But if you're one of those people who likes to play video games on your own now and then, you like a little bit of time to yourself, older games are great. It's great for that. It's fantastic. Might not be the popular topic right now. You might be playing a particular old game that many people have forgotten about, and maybe nobody knows about, or maybe a lot of people don't know about that you talk to in your social group or whatever. But there's so many great ones out there, and if you're willing to get past the accessibility hurdles of all the games and the fidelity and the isolation around it, then give those a shot. Give them a shot. Go back in time, man. I think of some older games I played in the past, like Klonoa 2. Oh, that was such a sad game, but so beautiful. That really nice storyline, very, very creative. Maximo, I remember that game when I was a kid. These are like PlayStation 2 games. Early 2000, between 2000, 2005. Spy vs. Spy. Man, if you look up that game, Spy vs. Spy. Right? Spy vs. Spy. I think it was 2005. Man, this game is the shit, man. This game was so good, man. Underrated masterpiece. So good. So good. If you can find a way to play this game in this day and age, this game here, boy, play it. So it's 2-player. I recommend the Xbox version because the Xbox version you can play, you can play it with your friends. You can play up to 4 people. I haven't played it with up to 4 people because I played on PlayStation 2. But man, even the PlayStation 2 is just 2 people that you're playing with. So fun, such a fun game, so good. Like I honestly, like, it's not just personal bias and nostalgia that I'm speaking of right now, because I've introduced this game to some of my cousins, my younger cousins, and they're like, some of them are like, they're like under 10 years old or like 6 years old or whatever, right? They love it. They love Spy vs. Spy. And if current generation kids can really enjoy, or Gen Alpha can enjoy a game that came out almost 2 decades ago, that game's aged well. And Spy vs. Spy is aged like a fine wine. She's beautiful. If you get the chance, play Spy vs. Spy. Or if you figure out a way to play it, play it. There's even a whole modding community in Discord that focuses on, modding this game and essentially bring it back to life. I think they use emulators and whatnot and things like that to kind of play the game or access it or whatever. But yeah, it's awesome. There's still a community around this game even years later. People who really love this game. And what else? Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about emulation. That was one thing. I want to talk about emulation as well. There's ways that you can emulate the experience of all the games right now on your computer. I know I have a program on my computer, which is EPSXE. That's a PS1 emulator. I don't think it does PS2, but it's a PS1 emulator. This one's fine in my state to download this. There's no problem. I don't think there's any legal problems getting this EPSXE thing. You can look it up in your state. But it's like the PS1 emulator. Really, really cool. And you can set it up to, I think you can set it up to run physical media games. You might have to look it up, but if you have physical PlayStation 1 games, and if you still got, if you're an old school guy like me and you've got a disc tray in your computer, you can literally put the PlayStation games in your PC and just play it on the emulator. It's awesome. It's really cool, right? You can also download games. That's kind of where the legal stuff gets fuzzy. If it's illegal in your state, I'm not recommending that you do that. But I'm just saying that it's an option. If you decide as an adult, that's something that you would consider if it's legal for you and your ISP is cool with that. There's places like Vim's Vault, which are really cool. You can use this website to download like ISOs for really old games. They've got look at this list, man. They got Atari. they got emulators for Atari, man. Game Boy. I don't know what the links is. Game Gear. Oh, this is handhelds. Oh, interesting. Nintendo DS. Look at that. 360. Boy, PlayStation 3 goes up to PlayStation 3, dude. That's something else. There's GameCube. Man, think about some old classics. I remember GameCube. I used to play games like Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart. Shit, there's so many good games. There was Pikmin. I haven't played Pikmin. Heard about it. Heard good things about it. So I may as well throw it in the pile. Again, you want to be careful with these websites. I'm not just talking about the legal part to check if this is okay with your state or with your ISP. You want to be careful of like potential malware. That's probably the biggest risk that you're going to come up to in terms of these companies chasing you up about downloading this stuff, even if it is illegal and you decide to do it in your state. The chances of them, first of all, they'd have to figure out that you did it, and then they'd have to spend the money to chase you up on it, which is for something really, really old that somebody just downloaded. They probably won't put in the effort. It's pretty unlikely. So you're more likely probably bump into malware. However, at least for Vim's Vault, I've at least heard good things about this site. So if you want, you can try it out yourself if that's what you want to do. That's okay with your state or whatever. Then sure. But yeah, that is a risk around that. I understand that some people don't want to go down that route. It sounds dodgy to them, fair enough. But hey, that's an option if that's what you decide to do, right? And there's a lot of options out there. Or you can purchase an old console. You can purchase a 360. There might be a 360 at a second-hand store. 360 was a classic console, man. There were so many good games for that. So you can pick that up. Or indie games. You can get into... The only problem with indie games is, of course, the scope. Was indie games. The scope, you don't get that large scope. That's why I kind of recommend old games as well, because there's some old games with big scopes, like Fallout 3, Oblivion, some of those old classic Bethesda games, big scopes, fun games, older games. You don't get big scopes with a lot of indie games, right? That's one thing you're missing out on, was indie games. But if you're okay with lower scopes, then just play indie games, man. Just play, so many cool indie games. I'll look at my Steam here. I don't care if you add me on Steam, whatever. But there's Cradle. This game, I really like this game, but it had mixed reviews, so I think it was really creative, though. It was a very interesting game. What else we got here? I got some VR games. Those budget cuts, that's pretty cool. Blades and Sorcery, that was a cool VR game. I think it was kind of AA a little bit. Gone, that was fun. Half-Life Alyx, really good game. Valve has still got it. They've shown that they've still got it. Was that title? Absolutely awesome game. But that is technically AAA. So yeah, it's like a modern AAA. But it's one of the good modern AAA ones. There's Life is Strange too. I guess again, I think it's kind of AA. That's not really so much indie. What's this? Phasmophobia, fun horror game to play with your friends. The State of Decay, I think you can play with your friends, was that as well. And there's some really cool anime still. That's a really weird multiplayer game. There's kind of mixed reviews about that game, I think. And it's an interesting experience. It's a very kind of isolated experience. Don't know if I'd recommend it. Very particular players into that. Fran Brow. This was, man, I got some dark games here. I should click on happier stuff. Man, this is like a point and click adventure. It was fun, it was enjoyable. These are just some examples that I'm throwing out there, Gone Home. I love this game. This was kind of like a love story. It was very much focused on storyline. It was very slow pace. If you're into that sort of thing, this is really cool. Gang Beasts, you guys probably know about that. Octodad. So maybe some people have forgotten about this, but it's a Stanley Parable, man. There's so many good ones. Jazz Punk, that was kind of fun too. That was very silly though. I guess it's a very kind of acquired taste, I think, if you want something silly and weird. And you kind of it's kind of like the Stanley Parable in a way too. That's kind of silly too. I think Jazz Punk is even sillier though. But these are my personal tastes, you know what I'm saying? But the point that I'm trying to make is that there's just a lot of other games out there, and we really need to start speaking with our wallets, because they're not listening to what we're saying. You can say to a AAA game company, I don't like that you're doing this, and it's like, well, I'm going to keep doing it. They're still doing it. They're showing that they care more about shareholders than they do about the player. So speak with your wallet. I hear people beating dead horses about, I don't like this game. I hear a lot of that. I'm going to beat this game. I'm like, that's fair enough. You're giving your honest opinion about it, and you want it to change. You want the company to get better, but they're not. They're not. They're still pumping out garbage repeatedly, and you think they're going to change because you're complaining, but they're not. Some people call it corporate greed or anything something like that, or appeasing shareholders more than player. Whatever the reason is that they don't seem to be paying attention. So speak with your wallet, especially you whales out there, and you know who you are. Lovely Planet. It's a fun, fast-paced shooter game. Very simple graphics too, kind of like older games. But fun, fast-paced shoot 'em up. There's just so many old Fallout games. Fallout 1, Fallout 2. Those games were really fun. Grow Home's pretty fun too. Fez. Regardless of whatever you think of Phil Fish, if you heard of him, a lot of people don't like him. But regardless of whether you like him or not, Fez is a good game. It's a good game. I really liked it. I thought it was a fun game, and it felt nostalgic. It felt kind of like the games I played when I was a kid. And Fez should be judged based on Fez, and not the person behind it. That's my opinion. Judge the media by which it stands. How good that form of media is, and not anybody behind it. That's my personal opinion about media. But anyway, you judge however you want to judge. It's your wallet. There's Fractal. This game was interesting. Fractal OSC is very much based on music. It's a very interesting indie game. Got a hacker game here. System Shock. This is an older one. I think I bought it on Steam. Again, going back to some of the old classic games, you can buy them on Steam. And GOG, Good Old Games. Good Old Games library. Got a lot of old, games in GOG library. But yeah, there's emulation, which you can you can look into that. There's speaking of emulation too, there's also PCSX2 I got 1.6, whatever, that's just a version. But this is the PlayStation 2 emulator. You do need a BIOS from this, and you need to extract the BIOS from your PlayStation console. I do believe it's legal to get the BIOS online. I'm not sure about that. So it'd be, if you got an old PlayStation 2 laying around, you can pull the BIOS from that. Luckily, I had an old PlayStation 2, so that's why I got this set up. I just pulled the BIOS from my own personal physical PlayStation 2, and then I just set it up on my PC, and then just attached it to this program so I can play my old PlayStation 2 games. I can put the disc in my computer, and it's great. It's really cool. So yeah, that's what I want to present to people today is options. People saying, "Oh, I don't like the state of the modern AAA gaming industry." I don't like the state of this, man. It's like, just ignore them and play all the games. Psychonauts, man. Psychonauts 2 came out. It's a newer game as well. Psychonauts 2 is awesome. Awesome. Such a good game. First one was good as well. That was a lot of fun. What else have I got? All my games. All my games. Is my games? No, these are games you buy. Own games. I got some games here. Shadow Man. Some classics there, man. Of course, there's Witcher 3. Good old classic. Glad I got it on good old games. Witcher 3 as well. Alien Isolation. There's just, there's a bunch of older games here as well. Day of the Tentacle. There's so many. There's so many indie games out there. And I say, if AAA lets you down, just go play an indie, or just go play an older game. There may not be the same community behind it, but just stick with those games. That's all from me. I'm gonna head out, make more messes in my apartment. Just kidding. But anyway, and I'll see you guys later.